What's going on? My name is Jordan Syatt and I'm here at Mark Bell Super Training Gym. And today I'm gonna walk you through 6 of the most common fitness and strength training myths to help you burn fat, get stronger, and achieve your goals. All right, so the first myth is that all calories are not created equal. Now, before I begin, I wanna preface by saying, just because I'm saying all calories are created equal, I'm not saying eat whatever you want in whatever capacity you want, and that all foods are created equal, because all foods are not created equal. But when we say all calories are created equal, we have to understand what is a calorie to begin with. And a calorie is just a unit of measurement. That's it. A calorie, all it does is measure how much energy is in a given food. In the same way that a mile is a unit of measurement, it doesn't matter if the mile is on pavement, in the woods, on sand, in water. A mile is always a mile. The composition of that mile changes. It might take you longer to run a mile on sand than it would to run a mile on pavement, but it doesn't change the fact that you're still running a mile. That's how a calorie works. A calorie in an apple is the same as a calorie in a donut, because all it's doing is measuring how much energy is in those foods. That doesn't mean the nutrients are equivalent, because they're not. The nutrient composition, the proteins, the carbs, the fats, the micronutrients, those are all vastly different and vastly affect your health, which is why I would never say an apple and a donut are equal. But I would say that the energy within them, the 1 calorie in an apple and a 1 calorie in a donut, those are equal, and that is why all calories are created equal. All right, so the second myth is that eating too little will somehow make you fat. And many people call this starvation mode. This idea that if you're not eating enough calories, your body will actually fight back and store everything. Now, we could go into a lot of deep-rooted science on this, but for me, the most basic way to explain this is, have you ever seen anybody get fat from eating too little? And the answer is always no. If this was the case, we could look at prisoners of war. We could look at people who have serious disordered eating habits like anorexia. We don't see any of them gaining weight from eating too little. And it's important to discuss this because a lot of people actually believe that if they eat too little, they'll gain body fat, and it's just not true. Related to this, a lot of people will say that cortisol, stress, is gonna make you gain body fat. If that was inherently the case, again, if we saw prisoners of war who are eating next to nothing and in arguably the most high stress situations possible, we'd see a lot of very overweight prisoners of war, but we don't see that happening. Usually what's going on is when people are very highly stressed, they're also overeating to cope with that stress. And a lot of the people who say that they're not eating enough are actually either not tracking their calories properly and or binge eating when they're alone and not telling you about it because they're uncomfortable. So keep in mind, there is no such thing as starvation mode. Eating too little doesn't make you fat. The only thing that will make you fat is eating too many calories. Now, the third myth is that eating 6 small meals a day is going to stoke your metabolic fire. Now, this is based on very flawed research. And I actually want to preface by saying eating 6 small meals a day isn't bad. If that's what you want to do, by all means do it. If you want to eat 3 meals a day, 4 meals a day, 5 meals a day, 6 meals a day, whatever is more comfortable to you and allows you to hit your calories, that's what's most important. But the idea that eating small meals frequently throughout the day stokes your metabolic fire is actually incorrect. And it's based on research that what they saw was that every time you eat, your metabolism increased. This is called the thermic effect of food. When you eat more food, your body increases its metabolic rate in order to digest that food. But when they actually started testing different meal frequencies that took the total calories for the day and equated them regardless of meal frequency, they found the total thermic effect of food was equal as long as the total calories consumed was equal. So long story short, it doesn't matter if you eat 1 meal a day, like some people who do intermittent fasting, or 6 meals a day, or even 17 meals a day. I don't know why you do that, but if you do, it doesn't matter as long as your total calories are in check. So do whatever feels most comfortable for you. Now, this next myth, I get speechless when I try and talk about it. I don't understand how some people so adamantly try to convince you that fruit is going to make you fat. And a lot of times they'll say that fruit makes you fat because there's sugar and sugar makes you fat. And I always just ask, how many people do you know who got fat from eating fruit? And they're always like, they have nothing to say. The reality is this, let's just use common sense before we even go into the science. No one has ever packed on 50 pounds of weight and said, it was really those blueberries. All the blueberries packed on that plate. No one's ever done that. Again, it really all comes back down to calories. If you're eating too many calories, you're gonna gain weight. If you're eating too few calories, you'll lose weight. From there, you have a lot of leeway to choose the foods that are most enjoyable to you, that also most positively impact your health. Fruit has never made anyone fat, okay? No one's ever gotten fat from eating too much fruit. So the next time someone tells you that don't eat the fruit because there's too much sugar, you can just nod your head and say, okay, Brenda, I'll talk to you later. Now, this next myth is very common in the strength and conditioning community, and a lot of people think that it's impossible physiologically to lose fat and get stronger at the same time. The reason they think this is impossible is because they're conflating getting stronger and building muscle. They're two different things. They're intertwined in many ways, but getting stronger and building muscle are not one and the same. In order to lose fat, you have to be in a calorie deficit, period, end of story. That's how you lose fat. In order to get stronger, there are many aspects that come into play. Progressive overload being one of them, but also we can look at the neuromuscular relationship between your brain and your muscles, telling your muscles to fire more quickly, more frequently, and more explosively. In order to get stronger while losing fat, number one, be in a calorie deficit, and number two, progressively overload your muscles while also teaching your muscles how to fire more quickly and more explosively. It's really that simple. The reason people get confused here is because if you want to build muscle, it's optimal to be in a calorie surplus. So when people are thinking, okay, I want to lose fat, you have to be in a calorie deficit, but to build muscle, it's optimal to be in a calorie surplus. That's where people get confused. And that's why you have to know building muscle and getting stronger are not one and the same. Getting stronger is being able to lift more weight. Building muscle is actually increasing the size of your muscle fibers. Now for the sixth and final myth of the day, this one actually is very intertwined with the last one, but a lot of people think that in order to get stronger, you have to get bigger. And this is one of the reasons why a lot of people, especially women, will shy away from strength training because they think as soon as they lift a weight, they're gonna look like Arnold, right? That's one of the more common things they say, well, I wanna get stronger, but I don't want to look like Arnold. And for me, one of the things I always say is like, you saying you don't want to lift weights because you don't want to look like Arnold is like saying you don't want to drive a car because you don't want to be Jeff Gordon. You're not going to all of a sudden look like Arnold from lifting a weight. That's not how it works. It takes an outrageous amount of time, an outrageous amount of effort, outrageously good genetics, and so many other factors. You can 100% get stronger without getting bigger. And a lot of that will come from how you structure your sets and reps, but even more importantly, how you're eating. If you're not eating to get bigger, if you're not eating in a calorie surplus, you're not gonna get bigger. So please, if you take one thing from this video, if you're not already strength training, get in the gym and lift some heavy weights because it is absolutely critical to your health and equally, if not more important, your overall confidence and self-esteem. One of the most important things I've seen from people who lift weights is building more confidence and feeling more empowered to do things they didn't think they could do before. All right, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Just as a quick wrap up and takeaway, almost like a too long didn't read. Number one, all calories are created equal. Number two, no one got fat from eating too little. Number three, fruit is not the cause of you getting fat. Number four, if you're not lifting weights, please go lift some heavy weights. If for nothing else, because it's fucking awesome. You're gonna feel better for it. It's gonna help you improve your confidence and your health in the long run. And real quick, if you'd like to follow me on other social media channels, you can go to my YouTube, Jordan Syatt, S-Y-A-T-T, my podcast, the Jordan Syatt Mini Podcast, Instagram, Syatt Fitness, or if you just Google my name, Jordan Syatt, S-Y-A-T-T, you're gonna find it all. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the video. Talk to you soon.